The snowstorm had been raging for hours. When 6-year-old Emma opened her front door to check if her father had returned, but instead of her dad, she found them, 2 tiny puppies, shivering so violently their teeth chattered, sat huddled together on her porch. Their fur was soaked, their paws were red from the cold, and their tear-streaked eyes silently begged for help. Emma gasped and dropped to her knees. "You're freezing. Come inside." She didn't think twice. She scooped them up, wrapped them in her coat, and carried them into the warm living room, unaware that this simple act of kindness would spark a chain of events no one could have imagined. By morning, police cars surrounded her house. Officers shouted for everyone to step outside. Emma's mother panicked. Emma clutched the puppies tight, and then the chief yelled something that made her blood run cold, because the puppies she saved were connected to something far bigger and far more dangerous. What happened next shocked everyone. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The snowstorm had turned the entire neighborhood into a world of white silence. 6-year-old Emma pressed her nose against the frosted window, hoping to see her father's car headlights cutting through the swirling snow, but the driveway stayed empty, and the storm only grew louder. Worried, she quietly opened the front door a few inches. A sharp gust of icy wind slammed into her face. She shivered, and then she saw them. 2 tiny puppies sat on the porch steps, their bodies trembling uncontrollably. Snow clung to their fur like frost, and their little noses dripped with cold tears. They weren't crying loudly, but the soft, helpless whimpers cut straight into Emma's heart. "Oh no, you're freezing," she gasped, dropping to her knees. The puppies looked up at her with wide, desperate eyes begging for warmth, safety, anything. Without thinking, Emma scooped both into her arms. Their tiny paws clung to her coat, as if they had been waiting for someone to save them. "Come inside," she whispered. "I'll keep you warm." She rushed them into the living room, wrapping them in blankets, unaware that the moment those puppies crossed her doorway, her entire life was about to change. By morning, the police would surround her house. Emma carried the shivering puppies to the living room and gently placed them on the soft rug near the fireplace. She hurried to grab towels, carefully drying their tiny bodies while whispering, "You're safe now, I promise." Slowly the trembling stopped, but something else began. The puppies refused to let Emma move, even an inch away from them. Every time she stood up, they scrambled after her, whining in fear, as if terrified she'd disappear. Their eyes followed every shadow on the wall, every creak in the old wooden house. Emma giggled nervously. "It's okay. Nothing's out there." But they didn't believe her. One of the puppies suddenly turned toward the window, ears raised, body stiff. The other pressed its nose against Emma's leg, shaking again. A soft growl, far too serious for such a small pup, rumbled from its throat. Emma's smile faded. "What's wrong?" Outside, the wind howled The trees scraped the siding. Snowflakes tapped the glass like tiny fingers. Emma pulled them closer and laid down beside them, wrapping her small arms around their cold bodies. Within minutes, she drifted off to sleep, completely unaware that the puppies remained wide awake, watching, listening, as if protecting her from something out there in the storm. The clock on the living room wall ticked softly as Emma slept, curled around the two puppies, their tiny bodies pressed against her for warmth. The storm outside had settled into a cold, eerie silence, but the puppies didn't rest. Around 3 a.m., a faint scratching sound scraped across the front door. Scratch, scratch, scratch. One puppy shot up immediately, ears pointed, eyes locked on the door. The other whimpered and crawled closer to Emma, nudging her shoulder as if urging her to wake up. But Emma only stirred in her sleep, pulling the blanket tighter. The scratching grew louder, more urgent. Then footsteps, crunching in the snow. Slow, heavy. The puppies pressed themselves low to the ground, trembling. One growled, a deep warning growl, far too mature for a pup. The other hid behind Emma's legs, its little heart pounding so hard the blanket moved with each thump. A shadow passed by the window, just a blur, but enough to make both pups whine softly. Emma's eyes fluttered open for a second. Just the wind, she murmured, drifting back to sleep. But it wasn't the wind, because when morning light finally came, the snow outside was covered in tracks, large ones circling the house. And that was only the beginning. Emma woke to the sound of shouting. At first she thought it was just part of a dream, but then a loud knock shook the entire house. The puppies leaped off the couch, barking and whining, scrambling toward her, as if begging her not to open the door. Her mother rushed into the living room, still in her robe, eyes wide with fear. Emma, stay behind me. Blue and red lights flashed through every window, swirling across the snow-covered yard. Emma peeked over the sofa and gasped. Police cars everywhere. Officers stood behind their vehicles with hands on their weapons, shouting instructions toward the house. Ma'am, step outside. Slowly. Bring the animals out with you. Do not let them out of your sight. Emma clutched the puppies protectively as her mother opened the front door, voice trembling. What's happening? They're just lost puppies. But the chief officer stepped forward, face serious, voice firm. Those aren't ordinary puppies, ma'am. We've been searching for them all night. Emma held them tighter, heart pounding. The puppies trembled just as hard, pressing against her arms. Why? Her mother whispered. The officer looked her straight in the eyes. Because these puppies belong to a K-9 officer who mother stood frozen in the doorway as officers carefully approached the house. The chief signaled for two K-9 handlers to step forward. They knelt a few feet from Emma, speaking gently but urgently. Sweetheart, one handler said softly. Those puppies aren't lost. They're trained K-9 pups. They're part of an active police investigation. Emma disappeared during a dangerous raid. Everything suddenly made sense, and nothing felt safe anymore. Emma's shook her head, hugging them tightly. They were freezing. I just wanted to help. You did help, the handler replied. More than you know. He pulled out a handheld scanner and slowly waved it over the puppies. A sharp beep echoed through the cold morning air. The handler's expression shifted. Shock, then deep relief. There it is. Emergency microchip. Signal, he whispered. We found them. Another officer stepped forward. Their Mother K-9 unit Shadow went missing last night during a criminal raid. These pups escaped. Shadow didn't. Emma's eyes widened. Their mom is out there alone? The officers exchanged grim looks. We think she's injured, the chief said quietly. And we believe the criminals have been searching for these pups. The tracks around your house match the suspect's boots. Emma felt her heart drop, but before she could respond, the puppies suddenly perked up, ears raised, bodies alert. A faint howl echoed from the woods. Their mother was calling for them, and she wasn't far. The moment the faint howl echoed through the trees, both puppies wriggled out of Emma's arms and rushed toward the edge of the yard, yelping back in excitement. Officers instantly moved to block the path. Hold up. We don't know what's out there, one shouted. But Emma stepped forward, her voice trembling. Please, she's there. Mom. She needs them. The K-9 handlers exchanged a brief look, then nodded. Slowly, carefully, they followed the puppies into the snow-covered woods. Emma walked beside them, her small hand gripping her mother's tightly. The forest was quiet until a weak whine broke through the branches. There, beneath a fallen tree, lay Shadow, the missing K-9. Her dark fur was covered in snow, her breath slow and strained. But when she saw her pups, her head lifted, eyes shining with relief. The puppies bounded to her, nuzzling into her neck. Shadow licked them weakly, her tail thumping. Once, then again. She's going to be okay, a handler said softly. You saved her family. Emma knelt beside the Mother K-9, tears filling her eyes. Shadow gently nudged her hand as if saying, thank you. Back at the station, Emma was officially recognized for her bravery. Officers promised she could visit the K-9 unit anytime she wanted, and every week afterward, Shadow and her pups appeared at the edge of Emma's yard, watching her, guarding her, as if she had become a part of their